What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Dom and Pop DC Sports Talk Plus podcast. This week, man, football is back. We're breaking down everything in the week one preseason game. Going to show you guys our new format for the season, and it's going to be awesome. I'm not going to waste any more time. Let's get right into it. What's going on, everybody? Before we get into this week's episode, I just want to thank you all for watching and listening and kindly remind you to please like, comment, subscribe, download, press all the buttons you can to support us. Watch us on YouTube, Dom and Pop Podcast, and check us out on Spotify, Amazon, Google Podcasts, all the good listening services at Dom and Pop DC Sports Talk Plus Podcast. Make sure to give us a download and make sure to also follow us at DC Sports Plus on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks a lot, guys.
Beautiful. Wow.
Thank you. You know, Pop, I
felt something there.
I couldn't have done it without your creative direction.
Exactly. That's producer extraordinaire.
Yep, that's what I needed. You sitting there and just looking at the camera with that 1,000-yard stare. I couldn't have, there's no way I could have got through that. What's going on, Pop? How you doing?
Doing good, man. We got to watch some football.
Oh, man, it was great.
First post-game pod.
It was great. You know, preseason football, working out the kinks on and off the field. Even the broadcasters, we got to work out some kinks. You know, I just got back from the East Coast. You guys can see I'm back in LA. And I woke up this morning at about 10 a.m. and my phone is blowing up. It's like Commanders preseason football, all the different notifications going off. And I'm like, crap, I forgot about the time difference. So I missed like the first drive. I had to fire it up, had to watch the replay. I had to join NFL Plus and spend some money on that. But you know what? No complaints here. I got to start my Saturday morning off watching football. I made some French toast to go along with it. It was beautiful. I mean, I'm on cloud nine right now, if you can't tell. I'm so excited.
Yeah, no, it was fun. And we got to talk about this dress code, son. I know you're in a white T-shirt. I'm in a gray T-shirt. Like, we're slacking a little bit here.
Hey, it's preseason. You know, the team wore white today. The team wore white.
That's right. Mine's actually like a Maryland shirt, but you can't really see it. So.
There you go. Mine is one of my girlfriend's pajama T-shirts, so I'm not going to show it off any more than, it's just I just threw something on, had to cover up. You know, we have standards here. Have standards. But, yeah, so, I mean, Pop, first preseason game, so much to uncover. First ever Commanders football game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Right? White jerseys, got to see those live in action. The new fight song live in action. What are some quick takeaways from the whole first Commanders football game experience for you?
You know, to me, it's like I'm really getting used to it. It wasn't really a shock to the system or anything. I thought that the unis looked sharp. Helmets looked great. I was a little surprised. I didn't realize that the white unis were just with the plain white pants. That kind of, took me off guard a little bit. I thought maybe there would be a stripe on the side or something, but no big deal. I guess with the fight song, they did end up going with "Fight for Our Commanders" as the official fight song. So it was good to hear the fight song after they scored. Still some kinks to work out there, but FedEx was a little empty, but I guess it's to be expected on a preseason game. We're not going to dole out any hate there, but overall good.
Yeah,
we'll get into the ins and out of the game here in a minute.
Felt good just to watch the team out there. I mean, it was like, seeing the new helmets, I thought was really cool. And for me, I was all year last year, I was just talking about how much I love the old school one stripe, one number on the side, no logo, nothing helmets. Obviously, in today's world of branding and marketing, there's no way that's ever going to fly in the NFL. Right. But these new helmets, it's a close second. I really like them. I like the matte finish on them is pretty clean and it's pretty sharp. I like it. And the white jerseys, everybody knows at this point, if you've been listening to the pod, if you're new, welcome. But if you've been listening for a while, the white jerseys are my favorite. I love the new white jerseys. And I thought it looked great with the burgundy sleeve on the side, the way that fits with the pads. It just,
even the the gold Nike symbol popped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really
Yeah.
slick jerseys. Really excited to see the burgundy. I hope we see that at some point over the preseason. I'm sure we will, right? 3 games, they're going to have to wear burgundy once.
I like the W that they went with the W too. It ties in with the Nats. I always really love the Nats W, and
Yeah.
when they win, hopefully often enough we could do the dub,
Yeah.
the Bradley Beal dub, which I think will be cool. You could just tweet out the W.
Yeah.
So unfortunately wasn't a win today.
No, unfortunately not. And they were, some, just to finish up the off the field hype stuff, they were kind of tying in some of that mascot debate. They were running a
Right.
poll. I think there were 4 options. One of them was hogs. So I'm not even going to mention the other 3. Everybody
with
on
you.
here, go vote for hogs. That's got to
I'm
be
with you.
that's got to be the only choice. If hogs is not selected for this, we know they're just not even counting the
It's a
votes.
revolution. It's
We
a
know
revolution.
they're not even counting the votes. They're not even doing it.
It's got to be hogs. I agree. There's a lot of like little Easter eggs out there that indicate that it will be, but I agree. It's got to be hogs.
I mean, I think Commanders
100%.
moves up like 3 tiers as a team name if you get a little pig dressed up in a Commander's uniform.
Yeah, Commander
That's
Hog.
dope.
Right?
That's dope. I'm gonna
Right?
get a little stuffed one
little
for
teaser
Carlo,
for something
like,
we're going to talk about later.
Definitely. But yeah. So let's get into some football. Enough about the fashion
it.
and the mascots and the French toast. Let's talk some
Yeah,
football.
Doc Walker
today.
would be a little upset with us right now.
Yeah. Shout out. So
How
you know
great
what?
was he? How
Before
great was
we-
he on the broadcast?
Before we talk any football, let's talk about the broadcasting. Doc Walker, I want him to call every Commanders game for the
Absolutely.
rest of time. That was awesome. And he was like, I mean, I don't know anybody else that can call the second quarter of a preseason game like it's the Super Bowl. He had me fired up. I was like punching the wall in my bathroom. while I
How
was
is he
brushing my
not
teeth,
still
like-
on the radio broadcast? I mean, Doc on the sidelines was like one of the greatest things ever.
Yeah, Doc Walker, shout out to you. Huge fans over here and just fantastic. It was awesome.
I'd love to
So
have you
fun
on the
to
show
watch it.
sometime.
It was great. It was funny at the beginning of the show. He said, he's like, Brian Robinson. He's like, I tell you what. He's like, if this young man needs a ride home from the game, I'll drive him. And then later on in the fourth quarter, he says the same thing about Jarrett Patterson. He's like, if his car
Right.
breaks down in the middle of the night, tell him he can call me and
was
I'll come
awesome.
get him. And the other guy said to him, he goes, I think you're gonna need like a. You already got Brian Robinson. He's like, I'll get an SUV. It was great. It was great. I got a really good laugh out of
That was
that.
great.
So,
Yeah, it was
shout
like
out
you
Doc
said. It
Walker.
was like he's calling the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it was awesome.
No preseason for Doc.
It was awesome. So
Made it
yeah,
fun.
maybe
Yeah.
maybe we could get like the dot cast or something like that for the games. Just for the Commanders. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Let's jump into it.
Football. So real quick, Pop, what did you like? What are some of your concerns? How are you feeling overall on the football side of things?
Well, I mean, you touched on it already. I really like what I saw out of Brian Robinson. I mean, that was impressive.
That was awesome.
Very interesting situation happening there between the running back situation and him and Antonio Gibson. I mean, a big concern. What I didn't like is Antonio Gibson putting the ball on the ground. I mean, it's just incredible. You're known for having a fumbling issue, and then you fumble on one of your first opportunities. And he also, and Ron actually talked about this in his presser, he also looked hesitant. He wasn't really hitting the hole. Brian Robinson gets in there and immediately looks like the real deal.
Yep.
He's hitting the hole. He's carrying tacklers. He's running outside. He's catching passes. I mean, he caught a pass. I mean, I think we've got a real running back one argument here. And then, just to finish up and then let you go, I did like Carson Wentz. I thought he looked comfortable. He was, 10 of 13, I think, passing. There were a couple of opportunities there on the ones that missed that could have possibly been catches. I just think he looked comfortable. He looked competent. And, we really saw the contrast once Heineke got in there. I mean, what an awful throw on that interception.
Yeah, and that's, I've been talking about it till I go blue in the face, but that's the delta right there in real time. That's the difference between Wentz and Heineke, and even some of the, because Wentz threw a couple deep balls, which I think he was relatively inaccurate on. But the difference is Heineke is just slinging it as hard as he can and because he doesn't have the arm strength, and he's just putting it wherever he thinks he can get closest into the catch radius. Wentz is missing in places where nobody can get the football, and that's the thing that you see the good quarterbacks do is they put the ball in a place on those deep balls where it's either my guy's going to get it or it's going to hit the ground. He's not throwing interceptable footballs on those deep passes, which with Heineke, I mean, how many times did you watch him underthrow somebody and get intercepted last year? We watched it a ton. So that was really encouraging on the Wentz side of things. I agree with you. I think I watched him get more and more confident with literally every snap as I watched him play, because he did look a little bit hesitant at the beginning of that second drive. I thought things just looked a little bit out of sync, but as we kind of got the run game going with Robinson, you could see Wentz kind of took a deep breath, settled in, started hitting guys. Love to see Curtis Samuel get a catch, get some work, get that first down. And for me, the biggest takeaway, shout out our boy Mitch Tischler. We know he loves the big man talk. That offensive line looked incredible. They look so good. I mean, it looked like we had them out there against the JV football team. They were running guys over. No disrespect to the Panthers, but they were just like, that offensive line looked phenomenal. And I know that was one of my biggest things I was looking for going into training camp, and we saw it in action. Andrew Norwell looked great. The guys were just getting knocked around, and once Robinson got in there and he could kind of match the confidence of the offensive line with the run game, we could see he was getting downhill and he was knocking dudes over, and he looked great.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So Pop doesn't know this, but I'm going to keep it running here. Before we got on the call, I was busting his balls telling him he was unprepared because he's always the one that does all the production outlines. And now he's the one that didn't plug his computer in. So when he comes back, I'm going to say something about preparedness. That's how we're going to kick into the episode. So just bear with us here. All right, Mr. Preparedness, you ready to get back into it?
Let's do it.
All right. So, as was I saying, the offensive line was hooping. Very excited about that. That's probably my biggest takeaway, just how good we looked in the trenches. The second and third units of the defensive line I thought looked really good. First unit, didn't love what I saw defensively. So I guess now we can move into the negative. I'm disappointed in the defense. I'm really disappointed in the defense.
That's fair.
That was bad.
Yeah.
The backups
First
look good.
and second team were really getting the ball moved on them.
Yeah, I mean, the second half, the backups look good, but you can argue they're playing against future insurance sellers and Whole Foods cashiers, so it doesn't really matter. Most of the guys on the field aren't going to make the team. But, man, the first and second unit look rough. That was not fun.
Hold it. You know, we got our kickouts of the game coming up, so.
Yeah, fair.
You're gonna have to save. You have to save something up for that. I got one that I definitely want to talk about.
Fair. But so any negative takeaways for you from the game, Pop? I mean, that was my biggest one. Is the defense just did not look. We've been talking about it all year, and they just.
I agree with that.
Fell flat.
I agree with that. The defense and obviously Gibson putting the ball on the ground. Those are the two things that stand out to me. I'm saving one for the kickouts of the game. My personal kickouts of the game. I'll get back to one there.
I like it. All right, we'll save that one up. So, without further ado, I say we move into a little bit of what our post-game format is going to be. This is like the alpha test. This is the first run of it. But what do you say we get to it, Pop?
Yeah, I thought maybe before we get into that, I know
you want to
get
kick
into
to
the awards.
Ron's presser a little bit, right?
Let me just go over a few notes on Ron's presser, just real quick.
Go for it.
He mentioned that two things that he didn't like was the kick return game. He said that if they take the ball out of the end zone, they got to get it past the 20, and they weren't able to do that. And he was pretty down on the defense to your theme. You know, he said they just second and long, they didn't perform well. The second team defense came in and just wasn't ready for the speed of the game. He mentioned that. And I kind of liked his tone in the press conference. He was really pretty firm in terms of what he didn't like. He talked about Antonio Gibson, said that he was hesitant. He was shuffling his feet. He wasn't hitting the hole. He wasn't running hard. Antonio Gibson actually came back in with the second team in the second half. So, he got benched, right? So, I mean, I think there's a real competition brewing here for sure.
Yeah.
But he did compliment him for playing much better when he got back in. He mentioned that he thought that Carson played well. He mentioned that he thought Sam Howell played well, and did a nice job. Talked about the fact that St. Juice didn't play. It was because his hamstring was tight. So again, Ron Rivera, abundance of caution there, but explain why St. Juice wasn't out there, and that's smart. So I think those are the main highlights from the presser. Just wanted to kind of get those out there. Any reactions or thoughts?
No, I mean, it's a good thing you brought up that Gibson thing. We're going to end up talking more about it. That's probably the biggest headline from this game.
Right.
But, man, seeing him come back out, I remember he went off the field after the fumble, and I was like, that's probably it for him today. He's done. He's going to hit the showers. Like, they're going to let Robinson take over. They're going to sit him down. It's preseason. Why even put him back out there? He's had injury troubles. And then I see Taylor Heineke get out on the field, and of course they have all the headers. Heineke, number 4, he's a starting quarterback last year, blah, blah, blah. And then I see number 24 in the huddle next to him, and I go, oh, crap.
Yeah, that had to hurt. Plus, I noticed him on the sideline. So, one of the positives, at least, we did get a scoring drive in, a very nice drive. I love the fact that it seemed like, McLaurin touched the ball, and Samuel touched the ball, McKissick touched the ball.
Spread the ball
out. Of course,
out,
Robinson, right? And you could see how Wentz likes the tight ends as well. The young guys we had in at tight end. But you see Gibson on the sideline watching that drive, and you could, I don't know, me reading his body language, you could tell he just was killing him that he wasn't in there. So that was tough to see. I do like the kid, but got to stop fumbling.
I mean, I remember that feeling for playing sports. I'm sure you remember it too when you're like, you're not having a good day and coach pulls you and you're sitting on the bench and then you're watching the team kind of start to get it together. And as excited as you are for the team, you're like, damn it, I want to be a part of that. Like,
it's terrible
feeling, it eats at you. We can always talk team first, but you want to be a part.
Anybody that's got a competitive streak's going to feel that way.
Yeah.
But let's get into our awards.
So here we go. Like I said, this is kind of like the alpha test for our awards this year. But so me and Pop, let me paint you a quick picture. I'm driving home from work a few days ago. Me and Pop talking on the phone about podcast ideas. We say, hey, we definitely want to do something along the lines of like a game ball or like an MVP of the game or something like that. We want to give a trophy out at the end of every game. That's a great idea. So Pop comes up with the idea. He says, hey, let's do helmet stickers. And I say, I like it. That's a solid idea. But I want to do something unique. I want to do something for the Dom and Pop pod.
What you said.
I want to do something for the heritage. I'm keeping it positive. I was giving some constructive feedback, right? I said we got to make it. We got to make it about us, about our brand. I want to.
You
put
came
that
out
forward.
with a great idea.
And we start brainstorming. We're kicking stuff back and forth, and I say, you know what, Pop? How about the sauce? How about the sauce award? Every Sunday, we get together as a family. And I can see the picture of the bowl of the Checo rigatoni with my Nonna sauce on it and the game on the TV in front. And my family, we always ate together at the table. That was a big deal, unless the Redskins were on. At the time, they were the Redskins, so we said the Redskins. If the Redskins were on, we sat around the table. We sat around the TV. We all got a bowl, and we just watched, and we ate. It was glorious. That's how we spent our Sundays. So for me, the sauce, I had that idea, and we say, you know what, guy's cooking. He's got the sauce today, so that's going to be basically
Sauce
our MVP.
Gardner kind of brought that up earlier, the Sugo sauce.
Yeah, so that's kind of our MVP award is the sauce award. So we're going to give one sauce award every week, and then I say, you know what, Pop, I like the helmet stickers idea. Let's keep that. We're going to give out a handful, I think maybe a maximum of 3. We won't give all 3 out if we don't think they're deserving, but I think we're going to give a max of 3 helmet stickers, which is kind of like honorable mentions, like really good. You guys played really great today, but the sauce is like, that's the guy, right? So how'd I do, Pop? What do you think? Did I miss anything you want to?
No, it's perfect. And we'll balance that out. We are going to have a kickouts of the game. Of course. We got to have the kickouts. So balance that out. And hopefully it'll be more the opponent than our own team. And then we are going to have a kickouts of the week this week because there was a little episode out there that we want to address. But no, it's great. And maybe just to talk about the sauce. I mean, that's growing up ever since I can remember. We grew up just outside of D.C. I've talked about this before, 15, 20 minutes from RFK Stadium. and every Sunday was, church in the morning, get home by the 1 o'clock kickoff, and we'd eat early. It's Italian tradition, eat early on Sundays. So it was always, pasta with the homemade sauce from my mom, love you, Mom, and, watching football. And my parents, I'm first generation Italian. The only sport they really adopted was American football and the Redskins, right? So it was just so special for us as a family. So it was a fantastic idea by Dominic there. So let's get into it. Who gets our Sauce Award for preseason game number 1?
So, I mean, this is a good problem to have. I think we had a little bit of a debate over who got the Sauce Award for this week, right? So I'm going to give the first honorary Sauce Award, I think, to Brian Robinson. I don't know if you disagree with me or you want to bring up another player.
I'll go with that.
We kicked around another one, right? But
it's got to be between Robinson and Sam Howell. But I think the fact that Robinson did it with the first team, he came off the bench and he just immediately looked like the real deal. And not only did it running inside, outside, had a goal line run, or for that fourth down was able to convert. I mean, and I think he scored a touchdown right on that drive too. So. I think I'm not sure about the fourth down thing, but that's all right. We make mistakes. You can give me the kick-cuts of the broadcast. But anyway, I mean, I think Brian Robinson is a great choice for the first preseason Sauce Award.
Yep. Yeah, I think the reason I want Brian Robinson over Sam Howell, and of course this is a consensus. We talk about it before.
He was definitely cooking. Sam
Howell was cooking. Brian Robinson was cooking. But the reason Brian Robinson, I think that's going to have more real world, so to speak, regular season impact on the football team this year is Brian Robinson's performance. Sam Howell, we're not going to see Sam on the football field this year. Are we talking
about Sam Howell as QB2 though? Like we're talking about Brian as QB1. I think that could get to be a real situation as well. I don't think it'll actually happen, but if God forbid, and I really hope we never have to think about it or talk about it, but if we do need to talk about who needs to play, if Carson picks up a nick, I think it's going to get interesting.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I definitely I don't know. It will be interesting. We'll have to see how the rest of the preseason fleshes out. I will say, Heineke, before he threw that pick, he looked good. He looked good before that interception. He made the run. He looked like Taylor Heineke. He was doing what he does. And for a backup quarterback, he's good. He could bring other elements to the game. But then Sam Howell kind of comes in and he goes, "Okay, I'll show you." And he's got the arm strength. He's got the mobility. He breaks
two running touchdowns.
Two running touchdowns. That first one was beautiful.
I mean, that pass to Kelvin Harmon, it was too bad. I really like Kelvin Harmon that he wasn't able to pull that in, but that was sweet down the sidelines.
He had some and that ball comes out of his hands with some zip on it. He really has some arm strength, and I'm kind of looking at where these guys, when you talk about accuracy, I'm not really thinking about the amount of passes they're completing. I'm thinking about where the completed passes are being placed on the receivers and what position that's putting the receivers in to go and make plays after that. And he's hitting guys when they're supposed to be on the inside shoulder. He's hitting them on the inside shoulder. Supposed to be on the outside shoulder. He's putting the ball in places where
he had a couple rookie moments in there too.
Of course,
where he held it a little too long. But that one where he escaped and got that 20, 30-yard completion, that was
beautiful.
Great as well.
It was beautiful. I'm talking everything that I'm saying. I'm talking about through the filter of this is a 5th-round draft pick who's going to be our 3rd-string quarterback this year. But as a project. And the talent that I'm seeing there, I'm very excited. I agree. For that.
So he's obviously got one of the.
So that's a free helmet sticker, right?
So our helmet sticker is the Commander Hog. We've already said that's going to be the mascot. So it's Commander Hog is the helmet sticker. I remember I played football in middle school, and we used to get helmet stickers. So it was always exciting. So we got.
What position did you play, Pop?
Offensive line.
Yeah. The bruiser.
Offensive line. It was a 110-pound weight limit. I was a starting offensive lineman.
What position on the line did you play?
I don't remember. I think it was a guard. I think I was a guard.
So you were not a star left tackle coming out of PG County?
I think I was a guard, but I don't. That's a long time ago. I don't actually remember. I know I was in the center for sure.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
Yeah, so definitely helmet sticker for Sam Howell.
So we got two more.
Got two more. I want to give one to Andrew Norwell. I thought he was tossing dudes around. He was balling. I think one of the big uglies has got to get one. Is that okay with you?
I'm good with that. I mean, we gave Brian Robinson the Sauce Award. I want to give one to Carson Wentz. I want to give Carson Wentz a little love.
I like that too. I think that's a good 3 right there.
Okay, those are the 3.
I think that's good 3. Yeah, because Wentz looked good. I mean, Wentz, and something that I didn't quite properly.
I mean, Joey Sly doesn't get one for missing the extra point.
No.
Come on.
No, he does not. Oh, my God. That was so funny listening to Doc on that. He's like, and that just undid all of it. He's like, oh, come on. I am not happy right now. That was great.
All right, cool.
Yeah, so
give us some feedback on the helmet stickers and the saucer award. Let us know what you think. But I'm pretty happy about it. I think it's good. So
definitely.
So let's get into the kick-outs of the game.
You've been teasing yours all day, so I say you give your kick-outs of the game first, Pop. Go ahead.
My kick-outs of the game may not be as obvious, but it's the slow start.
Yeah.
It's just the deflating 3 and out, and then they march the ball down the field, and then the very next drive, we fumble, and they put it in. I mean, can we just break this trend of the slow starts? And I know it's preseason, and this particular instance, it's not that big of a deal. And it was great to see that on the, in the third possession that we kept the first stringers out. That I love that, and we did drive the ball down the field. But that slow start, kick-outs. Can we please get off the faster starts? Either we go 3 and out, and then the defense makes them go 3 and out, or we just don't go 3 and out. How many 3 and outs? Year over year over year. So for me, it's a slow start.
Yep, I'm with you on that. The slow start and the bad finish. Those two, I think I'm going to amend a little extra side on yours. I mean, the fact that we ended up losing that football game off of multiple big penalties when we should have put the game away.
You got your third and fourth string in there.
You got your third and fourth string in there.
But what's your kick-outs of the game? What's your kick-outs of the game?
My kick-outs of the game is the Gibson situation, putting the ball on the floor. That's horrible.
That's a great one.
You can't.
Mine was between those two, but I'm glad you picked that one.
Here's my thing. You lead the league in fumbles last year. You are known for having a fumbling problem. We go in and we bring in another running back who, what is the biggest selling point on him? He doesn't fumble the ball. He has one career fumble. That's the big selling point. And, knock on wood, he doesn't change that when he comes to DC, but that's the big selling point. And then you cough the ball up in a situation where, in my opinion, it's a complete lack of situational awareness, and you're not thinking. I mean, I understand, he's kind of going to the ground. He's got one hand trying to cushion himself, but you have to know fumbling the ball at that level is a systematic problem with the way he is addressing running the football. It is not a skill issue. It is an issue of he does not understand when he needs to cover up the football. When
he's a converted. That's part of the issue. He's a converted receiver, and as part of when I saw Robinson out there, and I know it's too soon, right? And I get it, and I like AG, but you just see Robinson out there, and it's like this guy is a running back.
Yeah.
He's a running back.
Yep.
And then he can catch, and then he can get outside, and then he can carry, tacklers. He's got to be looking over his shoulder,
Yeah.
And you see that they're losing patience with the fumbling. I mean, he got benched in the first preseason game because he fumbled.
Yeah, really disappointing. It's like shades of, and I mean, I guess this is overreacting a little bit because Brian Robinson, of course, is not Leonard.
It's what we do.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it gets the clicks, But Brian Robinson is not quite Leonard Fournette, but it's shades of the Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette situation in Tampa last year. It was like Jones puts the ball on the floor in the first drive. Bruce Arians benches his ass. Fournette comes out, and he balls, and it's his backfield, and it's over. That's it. And, thank God we have Brian Robinson.
Fournette should have always been out there. I love that guy.
I agree. He's a dog.
Yeah.
But thank God we have Brian Robinson to cover our tracks here. But yeah, kick out to Antonio Gibson. I mean, that's just like you have to be going into that game just thinking like, I am not going to fumble the ball. Like, no matter what, the ball is not going on the ground. And then to see the ball go on the ground, and it's a punch out too. It's just like it's a punch in the gut.
Just, you
really
wonder how much it's getting in his head, right? Because again, one of the things that Ron talked about is that he wasn't running hard initially. He was shuffling his feet.
Yeah.
He was getting stuffed, either a 0 gain or 1 yard gain. And so you wonder just how much of it's just in his head at this point. But I also just think of that converted wide receiver, right? I mean, it's different for McKissick because McKissick is a converted wide receiver, but he's a third down back. He's catching balls out of the backfield.
He's doing that Darren Sproles kind of situation. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, I love Antonio, love the kid, great attitude. Hopefully he'll bounce back. We don't want to be too negative on him, but
definitely.
But how about our kick cots of the week?
Man, this is a good one. And you know what? This is an extra good one because you and I usually talk about these things a lot before the pod, and then we get on and we have more like polished takes. But this one's going to be raw. We haven't talked too much about this, off air. So I don't know. I don't think you really know my stance on it, and vice versa. So the kick cots.
Let's do a bit of a recap.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So Scott Abraham, who's ABC News 7, does a Carson Wentz interview. And I'll say this, there's two sets of context, right? One is the clips. There were 2 clips that kind of came out, that major clips. And to be fair, Scott Abraham put out the clips. These are the ones he wanted to advertise, okay? One was he talked about Carson's inconsistency in camp. Consistently inconsistent is the term he used, right? So he didn't just say, hey, you've been inconsistent. There's been word out there you've been inconsistent. He had to kind of follow it up with a little dig of you're consistently inconsistent, right? Bit of a kick-katsa move there, right?
Yeah.
But then the next clip, which I think was even worse, was he says, Philly didn't want you. Indy didn't want you. This is your third chance. Real talk, there was his quote, real talk, Carlson. Again, see those 2 clips. Now, I have to admit, I went back and I watched the whole 11-minute interview. And when you watch it in that context, it's very different. Yeah. You could see they were kind of vibing. It was kind of casual. And so when he drops those things in, it was a little bit more. But then Jason Wright chimes in. Why don't you take it from there?
Yeah, so Jason Wright chimes in, gets his Twitter fingers going. And he basically, I'm going to pull up the tweet here. Speaking of preparedness, I should have had it. But he basically takes a huge dig at Scott Abraham, and he says, quote, thankfully, Carson demonstrated grace and class in response to this pompous, unprofessional mess.
Woo!
Wow. I recognize you have made a living on childlike provocation, but it needs to be called out. Don't expect special access and good luck building rapport with the guys at Scott7 News, which is Scott Abraham's Twitter account.
Right.
Wow. And he said a few other things in the thread, but he stuck to his guns. He had Michael Florio.
You think there would have been a Will Smith-like slap had they been in the same room together?
I would have paid to see that. Oh, yeah, I wish. I wish. I mean, who knows? Crazier things have happened with the Commanders. Maybe we see one. Maybe Jason Wright's going to come out from behind the media desk and whack him after a game. Carson's thrown 3 interceptions today. What do you think about
by whack? By whack, you got to clarify there.
Smack him. Sorry,
whack him.
I know it's an Italian American podcast. I got to be more specific when I use the W word. Smack. Excuse me. So honestly, I went back and forth on the whole thing. When I first saw the clips and saw the how Wright responded, I was like, I've been a pro S-Talk proponent on this podcast for a long time. I'm very pro Durant and these guys getting out and talking. I was very in favor of the Jason Wright thing at first. And then I kind of sat with it throughout the whole day, and I grew to just hate it. So my kick-outs, my part of the kick-outs here is to Jason Wright. I think he blew the situation up. He made it a way bigger deal than he needed to, and I think in reality, had Jason Wright not said anything, this would have been just a small little moment that maybe some Commanders fans would have been like, oh, that's harsh, blah, blah, blah. But he did say something, and now as a result, it's this huge story, and you have national reporters talking about it, and the whole, good
You
luck
said
getting
Florio.
special.
He went back
Yeah.
and forth with Florio, right?
Yeah, and the whole good luck getting special access. Like, really, you're gonna threaten a guy's press pass because you don't like the way he asks questions? Like, that's his livelihood. Like,
And any
come
chance
on,
you
dude.
give Mike Florio to attack the Commanders, I mean, you made his day.
Of course, but it's just like at a certain point, you're the president of the organization. You have to understand the repercussions that your statements have, and at a certain point, you have to have the greater good in mind, not just you looking like Superman. I don't know. It just strikes me as very green.
Yeah, that's a great point.
It strikes
Sorry
me
to
as
interrupt you.
very green, and unfortunately, I see a bit of a trend in when controversy comes up. He tends to handle things in kind of a green manner, and I don't love that. But
There's
I'll
been a
let you
few
talk. I've been
mistakes. I
talking.
mean, we don't have time to get into all the mistakes.
No.
There's been a few mistakes. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's more of a Kikatsa moment in a fun way. Like, it's just one of those wow moments that he would tweet that. Some some credit in defending your guy. But I think the thing is, out of all of this, the winner was Carson Wentz. The way he handled those questions, the way he handled those interviews, go back, not to promote Scott Abraham, but I like him. He's a good reporter, generally, and he covers the team pretty well. And I don't think he's a bad dude or anything, from what I can see. I don't know him personally, but I mean, can Carson Wentz handle this situation any better? And you know what? Here's the thing. I love the local reporters. I love Kime. I love JP, of course, all the other guys, and sorry, I'm not mentioning more, right?
Pete Haley,
they do
Mitch
a great
Tischler.
job. They do a great they do a great job. But what do we want to do? Do we want to crack this guy up? Do we got to keep bringing this stuff up? Like, think about it. If you're Carson Wentz and you went into your job every day, and they said to you, Dominic, your last engineering job or your last music production job, you sucked, and that place didn't want you, and now you're here, and this is your absolutely last chance. I mean, nobody needs that pressure on him. And he's a professional, and he makes a lot of money. But just imagine being him and having to hear that all the time, and the added pressure that puts on you. Can we just stop? Can we just judge him on how he performs in the game? Can we stop with that line of questions? To be honest, it was kind of a Kikat's move on Abraham's part, the way he phrased those questions.
I agree.
But they both deserve it. Jason Wright shouldn't have clapped back the way he did. So
it's
I don't know. I think that's all we need to say about that, pretty much.
Yeah, I think real quick, I just want to say I think they're fair. I think they're fair questions. I think they're very fair questions.
He could have phrased them different.
But I don't. I agree. I think you have to ask them in a different way. But like you said, I actually didn't watch the whole interview. So maybe at that point in the interview, I'm sure after all this response, he wishes he could have done something a little bit differently. But maybe at that point, he was feeling comfortable. He felt like he could say things that way to Wentz without offending him, and he said it that way. But
I'm not getting a dig on the reporters, right? I mean, I appreciate the fact that the reporters, but go watch JP's one-on-one with Wentz and how he handled that.
It's a big difference.
And as a reporter, if he's already been asked that question and already answered it 10 times, what new ground are you breaking by asking him again?
Yep.
You're not really, you know what I mean? Like, so it worked out. And obviously, again, you go watch the whole interview, take it in a different context, but Scott Abraham released those 2 clips, right? So anyway, kind of a funny moment at the end of it all, kind of a wow moment. I do think Jason Wright needs to do better. I agree with you.
Yeah, disappointing. Just because he's the team president, we need to expect more from him. A local reporter and a team president is 2 very different standards we have to hold people to.
Yeah, I bet you they'll hug it out. They'll hug it out.
I don't know about that. But let's get on to the next segment. That's right. There's one more segment after our Kikats of the week, and that is the Bada Bets. Boys, girls,
the new
welcome.
Dom and Pop Bada Bets. We got to hurry up and lock that up on you got to copyright that thing.
For sure. We don't want this to go the way of the Red Wolves. We don't want to get caught up in copyright court. So Bada Bets. So basically, we're going to roll out a more firmly structured format with this, with the regular season, once there are more exciting things to bet on. But for now, we're going to do some season-long props. Last week, if you didn't catch the episode, go back, check it out.
Please.
We've named our top 10 wide receivers. And there was some controversial stuff in there, for sure.
And we brought the heat. Like, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. The
Great
debate
episode.
that we had on it. Yeah.
But I'm not even going to give numbers. But what I'm going to say is there was a big disparity between me and Pop's rankings of two players, Jamar Chase and Terry McLaurin.
You gotta go back and watch it.
Pop had Terry higher than Jamar Chase. I had Terry significantly lower, and I had Jamar Chase much higher than Pop had Jamar Chase on his top 10. Go back and watch it. It's a great episode. You'll be super entertained.
And we've been arguing about it all week.
Yeah. Check out the comments too. We have some friends and family that have been talking on there. Let them know what you think of their list. We got some interesting lists happening down there. So check them out. Give your list too. But so we basically said, you know what? Put your money where your mouth is. Bada bets. We need a bet for this week anyways. We already talked about, we've bet that Seattle was going to be a bottom 5 team. I bet that they would be. Dad bet against me, said no. So this one, to follow up, to put our money where our mouth is, we're going to do Jamar Chase versus Terry McLaurin.
Season long.
Right. We said, you know what? Pop came off the top rope. He said, who cares about injuries? If they get injured, oh well. Is what it is.
Availability. Best ability is availability.
At first, in my head, I'm not going to lie, I went kick hots, Pop, really? And then I said, you know what? Vegas doesn't care about your injuries either. If you go bet the over and the dude rolls his ankle, it's over. Right. So we're going to do 5 categories. Whoever wins the majority of these categories, and there will be a winner. I mean, unless they have the same exact number of one of these.
Yeah,
but
there'll be a winner.
There will be a winner. So 5 categories. Yards, receptions, targets, touchdowns, and drops. Obviously, drops is going to be like golf. We want the least number of drops. But we're going to weigh those 5 categories, and whoever wins 3 or more is the better receiver at the end of the season. I've got
just
Jamar
to be
Chase.
clear, I got Terry McLaurin, Commanders Nation. I have Terry McLaurin. Dom has Jamar Chase, betting against Terry.
I love Terry. I hope you're right, Pop. I hope you're right. I hope they're both healthy.
I want to take that $5.
They play
it's $5.
games.
Every time we bet, it's $5.
It's $5.
Take that $5.
Every time. These season longs are $5.
We're even right now. So.
Yeah, we're gonna introduce a scoring system when the regular season rolls around. But for right now, $5. So yeah, that's the bet. That's the bottom bet for this week. Yeah, this is a real one. This is cash. This is cash money right here.
Nothing more I like than my son giving me $5 bill, crisp, brand new.
Yeah, you should win more bets. You should win more of these bets. You should stop betting against Jamar Chase if you want more of those. But anyways, yeah. So that's our bottom bet. That'll be interesting. It'll be exciting. I think it's free money for me, but we'll keep it.
Did you see how good Terry looked on his one catch today?
Terry looked good. He looked
good.
And that's, one. I'm gonna wrap up on a football note really quick. That first down pass to Curtis Samuel, that was really exciting for me because when you watch that play develop, Carson had options. And we spread the field out really nice. And when you look at it on paper, you're going to have, if you have a 3 wide receiver set, you have Terry, Curtis, Dotson, all threats. We didn't see much from Dotson today, but it's all good. Terry, Curtis,
Dotson. Great
Dotson.
To see McLaurin. I mean, not McLaurin, but Samuel get those couple of catches.
I'll trade that for Dotson any day of the week right now.
Yeah.
But if you have Terry, Curtis, and Dotson out wide, and then you have Cole Turner or Logan Thomas when they're healthy, and then you have McKissick coming out of the backfield too on like a 2nd and 4 or like a 3rd and 7 kind of situation. I mean, somebody's going to be – those are all really good playmakers. Somebody's going to be able to get a first down there if Carson can deliver the ball and if the offensive line can give him the time. And from what we saw today, the offensive line will give him the time. That was awesome. All 4 or 5 units were just knocking dudes over. So I'm pumped. I love the big man talk. I'm becoming the Mitch Tischler Jr. over here.
You got to be. Other than his own team, you got to be Mitch Tischler's favorite podcaster.
I hope so. But No, so I think that's probably about it for us this week, Pop. I say we
Yeah.
wrap it up. I mean,
That was fun.
Yeah, it was super fun. Lots to talk about. So glad football is back. So
Absolutely.
glad football is back. But anyways, what do you say we wrap this thing up, Pop? You got anything left to say, or are you good?
I'm good.
All right. Well, I've been Dom,
This is Pop.
and thank you guys so much for listening, and have a great week.
Love me, baby. Oh.